There's Mom. Haha. Do you want him to see you? Just have to restart the video. Just kidding. How did the American Revolution play out in Britain? Although many people believe Britain was a foe set on destroying American freedom, in Britain, the American Revolution played out in the Civil War at first, but began to be understood when America sided with France. The revolution was seen as a larger struggle between traditional and British political factions. Many in Britain supported American complaints as being a plea for a return to older forms of government. And as the war dragged on, Britain began to see the rebellion in imperial terms. Point 1. The revolution was seen as a struggle between traditional Britain political factors. Many years before Prince Bonnie Prince Charlie, the Jacobites attempted to bring back James II. The plan failed that time, so they decided to assassinate William III. It seems like a normal thing to do when your plan goes wrong, just kill the king. While he was returning from a hunting trip, the plot was discovered before it could be put into action, and that plan also failed. That was said by... Oh, no, never mind. I'm not saying anything. Bonnie Prince Charlie was part of the Jacobites who wanted Britain to be Catholic ran. So we got a group of Highland warriors to fight the Protestant army family, and when they went to fight on Culloden Field, they stormed singing and got stuck in a marsh pit. It was at this point that the Hanover family's army shot at them, and Prince Bonnie Charlie just barely escaped. He went on a ship to a remote island called Skye, and he got extremely depressed. He then moved to Rome and died at a young age due to an alcohol problem. This was one of the last things that Catholics tried to take over due to George Washington starting the 7 Years' War. Quote, "It is essential that the several nations or tribes of Indians who live under protection should not be molested or disturbed." That was said by George de Trace, otherwise known as George III. Point 2. Many in Britain supported American complaints as being a plea for a return to older forms of governmente. The Gordon Riots of 1780 began to make London anti-Catholic and remove certain laws. The enmity being between the Protestants and Catholics was turning violence in the war, but also had the impact in London. This was the closest Britain ever got to a revolution. Following legislation passed permitting Catholics greater freedom in society, such as joining the army. A huge amount of people came to petition under the leadership of Lord George Gordon on the morning of June 2nd. A huge crowd of 50,000 people came to present the petition to Parliament. The events led to chaos when they were met with a barrage of abuse and physical violence. It only stopped when the troops came to the scene. Over the next week, people were pulling Catholic houses and chapels. The banks of England came under attack, and the prisoners were released. Nearly 300 were shot to stop the rioting. Point 3. As the war dragged on, Britons began to see the rebellion in imperial terms. France joined America during the war, mostly to weaken both empires. During this time, there was Britain who sympathized for America. In 1778, France officially concluded their treaty with America. 4 days later, Britain declared war on France, formally activating the alliance. Spain made an alliance with France, which was a huge turning point for French, and began to flow across the Americas. British ships came and fired on the French ships, broadening the conflict, creating a war. Spain, hoping to something taken by Britain in the 7 Years' War. I forgot who quoted this, but also joined the fight in the side of France, but not as an ally of America. So, oh no. Quote from Alonzo Hamby. The collaboration of the European powers with France in the lead was far greater than America standing alone in the colonies. End quote. So although many people believe that Britain was a foe sign destroying American freedom, in Britain, the American Revolution played out in the Civil War at first, but began to be understood when America sided with France. The Revolution was seen as a larger struggle between traditional British political factions. Many in Britain supported American complaints as being a plea for a return to older forms of government, and as the war dragged on, Britons began to see the rebellion in imperial terms. Thank you. Anytime! Peace!